You get one shot at life. Why are you living based on somebody else's rules? I want to show you how to design your life. I get this question asked to me all the time. Right now, I'm in Malibu, California on vacation, and I'm constantly traveling. And I'm not telling you that to impress you about me, it's to impress upon you. I want to live life on my terms. I've wanted that forever. In these next 10 minutes, I'm going to show you the critical keys that most people miss on designing the life they want. If I said the word philosophy, what would you be thinking? Does anything come up? See, in order to create the life that you really want by design, you have to start looking at your philosophy. What is my philosophy towards my life right now? Am I just using that old, outdated paradigm that says, I've got to struggle my way, this is just how it is? Or is there a deep voice going in your head that says, I want more, I deserve more? There's got to be more to life than this, and I promise you that answer is yes. I remember years ago, I was just like a lot of people. I was working at a job I didn't like. I was just getting by. I was living paycheck to paycheck, and I was pretty miserable, to be honest with you. And then I started thinking there's got to be more. And I remember I got out a piece of paper and I wrote exactly how I wanted to live. I wrote it in such detail. And one of the things that I wrote was I would love to be traveling in an exotic destination of my choice 4 times a year. Now, at that time, I would go on a trip maybe 1 to 2 times a year. So 4 times, that was a huge stretch. I wrote in my vision how I wanted to live in my future. Now, I didn't believe it. Like right now you're watching me and you're saying, oh, you see an ocean in the background, you could do it, but I can't. Trust me, I was struggling like you couldn't believe. But I wrote down in such clarity exactly how I wanted to live. But one of the things that I really wanted was going on vacations 4 times a year with the people I love. Within a year, that's exactly what happened. Now, why am I telling you this? If you want to stop playing by societal roles and you want to start designing your life and truly creating a life of freedom, you've got to start writing out exactly how you want to live. I want you to look at how you're currently living. Is that your standard? Is that how you really want to live? Or is this what you've tolerated? When you get out a piece of paper and you write in detail exactly how you want to live, and what happens is as soon as you write it down on paper, it starts creating this image in your mind, and your mind starts going to work on it right away. But the key is, don't write what you think could happen. Write exactly how you want to have it so you create your life by design. What I want you to do is hit pause, and as soon as I'm done with this sentence, and I want you to write out your vision, write a few paragraphs, let your imagination flow. But I want you to write it exactly how you want to live, not 5% better than you lived last year, not 10%. I want it exactly how you want to live. Go ahead, hit pause. All right, now, I want you to have the same attitude towards this vision you wrote down as you do your current results. What does that mean? Our current life, we use our senses and we just automatically accept it. This is what I'm experiencing. Well, I want you to start experience exactly what you wrote down. And the best way to do it is the repetition. Repetition of the same idea over and over again creates power. If I could guarantee you're going to improve your results by falling in love with repetition, would you do it? Because that's what happens. Repetition is what creates habits. Repetition of an idea has created your current results. Is it possible right now you're working on the wrong repetition? We have one life as we know it. Stop playing based on how other people are living. And understand the price is easy once you make a decision that this is how I'm going to live no matter what. Your whole world is about to change. Without a definite vision, you're living your life in a prison. When we're driven by a vision, we're driven by a purpose that says, this is going to be the best year of my life. This is going to be the best quarter of my life. And I have decided to change, because once you change and go after a purpose, you automatically would start changing your thinking. You're going to change your energy. You're going to change your beliefs, and you're going to change your results. That's what automatically happens. Get out of your own way. Get out of the prison you're currently living in. Our philosophy is our automatic operating system. Is your philosophy right now serving you, or is it sabotaging you? Philosophy sets the direction of where we're going in our life. I have clients ask me all the time. They say, Arash, you're always traveling. How do you do it with your family and work? Well, I make work a part of my life. I don't choose work over my family. I choose, my philosophy dictates how I want to live. There's some vacations I don't work at all. There's others I work half days and spend time with my family half days. That's how I built my philosophy, and that's why I can go anywhere in the world and get so much done in less time. You have to decide, how do you want to live? How do you want to live? Years ago, this is how I always pictured myself living. And I remember I wrote a huge vision for my life, and it is beyond what I could have ever imagined back then. I always say I was thinking too small. Your philosophy sets the direction of your life. It's your automatic operating system. Most people have unconscious philosophies. I want you to create a conscious philosophy. This is how I'm going to live. You know, for me, it all started when I started really changing my philosophy. I was working a corporate job. I was getting married 3 weeks later, but I even have a better part of this story. Not only did my company sell, I was in a ton of debt, but I was told the day before from the only person that I reported to was the president of the company. And I said, Steve, is the company going to sell? There's all these rumors. And he said, Arash, you'd be one of the first to know. Well, that next day, guess what happened? The company sold. And I remember walking out of the building and I was so angry. And then this voice came over me and said, if you're going to be angry at anyone, be angry at yourself. I changed my philosophy in that moment where I said, I am no longer letting anyone dictate my income. I'm not letting anyone dictate how I live or my security. What happened is the philosophy changed, then the direction of my life changed. So it starts with philosophy. Our philosophy creates our standard. Our standard is what creates abundance. And right now, look at your vision that you wrote down. Now we build our standards from that vision. What are those standards? You eliminate anything you're tolerating. You draw a line in the sand and you bring your standard of living up to how that vision you wrote down states, not go down to your current reality. But standards are so good for us. And the biggest standard we have to start with is, who am I? Where am I now, and where do I want to go? We have to have real empowering questions to activate us to think much deeper so we create the best version of ourselves. Now, what does your standard create? It creates your story. Right now, if you're struggling like I was, I promise you, you have these limiting and false beliefs that are so much greater than your current story. So if our false beliefs are greater than our current story, we go right down to what we've always done. So our job is, now that you wrote the vision, now we got to write a story. And I want it to be a kick-ass version of you, like a version that you would be so proud of. And I want you to write it out. And I want you to become every word of that story. Record it, listen to it every day, over and over and over again. Repetition is your power. I love what Bruce Lee said, that I'm paraphrasing. He said, I was never worried about my opponent who practiced 10,000 moves. I was always worried about my opponent who practiced one move 10,000 times. Now, if you could create a life of freedom, life on your terms by design, where you're doing what you want, when you want, with whomever you want, as often as you want, would you listen to your story over and over again 10,000 times? If it was guaranteed to crush those false beliefs, because that's what repetition of your story does. As you change your story, you automatically are going to change your identity, and you're going to know your identity shifts because you're willing to bet on yourself. You're willing to behave out of your comfort zone. All of a sudden, your thoughts are so much different. Your actions are so much different, and that's how you're going to create completely different results. But understand, without philosophy, nothing is going to change. This is my philosophy. I grew into it, so can you. But your philosophy is what builds your disciplines, it's what builds your standards, and it's ultimately what builds your life. A new life philosophy is going to demand you to think outside the box. And your old self is gonna wanna come back and bring you back saying, you know, we're doing better than most. Let's live the way you really wanna live. Experience the experiences you wanna have. I want you to earn more than you even think is possible so you can experience and impact so many people's lives. Your philosophy is always ever moving, always changing, always upgrading, and always ascending. But the only way we could create the philosophy is by being deliberate and intentional. And when you do that, not only are you gonna create great standards, not only are you gonna create great experience, you're gonna live life on your terms. I want you to have the greatest amount of happiness and fulfillment. I want you to serve at the highest level, but I want you to live the way you really wanna live. It starts by stop settling for how you've been living and start designing the life you really wanna have.